We see colour all the time in film and television, whether it's a classic romance or a thrilling horror. There is no set guideline on how to use colour, but understanding the cognetic effect of it does help. Different colours will constantly change a character's emotion, set the location, and helps the audience pick out a distinctive character in the film. This can be portrayed through the colour of the mise-en-scène, tints used, and outfit choices. As we all know, cinema used to be in all black and white. However, we've always been obsessed with colour, and film has always been about the visuals. Just like I used to. Before filters and cameras were invented, filmmakers like William Dixon, yes, that is his real name, and Thomas Edison would hand tint the moving images. They would paint over their film stock to enhance their image and to create wonderful looking films. Colour is one of the most effective ways to illustrate a storyline, and it all begins with the colour wheel. Filmmakers will often follow the rules of colour in film for the audience to understand the scene or genre easier. Warm red colours for romance, cold blue and green tones for horror, unsaturated tones for apocalyptic thrillers, and saturated and vibrant tones for the comedies. Humans will always have a psychological reaction to certain colours. Therefore, particular colours are often used in particular ways. An example of this, red seems to be the colour we have the strongest reaction to.
You got red on you, you've got red on you.
It developed symptoms similar to those displayed by their attackers. If you know someone...
Oh, you got red on you.
Yeah.
It can convey two very different perceptions of emotions, where one filmmaker may use it to portray hatred and death. Tarantino cleverly highlights the sky and the plane strip with the colours red before cutting to the protagonist writing the death list. All names written in the book follow the scene's trending colour red to foreshadow future scene deaths. However, red's not always used to create a setting of cruelty. It can also be used to show passion and love. Take Disney Pixar's Up, for example. The film begins with a time-lapse of Ellie and Carl's relationship through time. The editor uses a soft red and pink colour whilst the two characters dance to highlight their love and affection for one another. In the 1999 sci-fi action film The Matrix, the Wachowskis used a green filter throughout the whole film. The green tint is suggestive of the early monochrome cathode monitors, a piece of imagery associated with the computing. The Wachowskis wanted to create a mood palette, so they could cross-cut between the Matrix and the real world, and an audience could immediately identify where the action was occurring through the use of such a colour scheme. There are no set guidelines to say this is how you use colour. There are three key elements to any colour: the hue, the saturation, and the value. The hue is the actual colour, whether it is red or blue, or whatever colour it may be. The saturation is how intense that colour is. Is it really vibrant? Or is it more faded? The more unsaturated something is, the closer it is to grayscale. Finally, the value. If a colour has a low value, then it is darker than a colour with a high value. Changing these three elements will change and choose the tone of the movie. In the world of Technicolor, colour correction becomes more complex, following an improved colour scheme which was created when filmmakers learned that some harmonies work better than others. The most effective include complementary colours. Two colours on opposite sides of the colour wheel make a complementary pair. This is by far the most commonly used pairing. An example of this is yellow and blue. This pairs a warm colour with a cool colour and produces a high contrast and vibrant result. Yellow and blue colours can often be associated with conflict in action, internally or externally. Saturation must be managed, but a complementary pair are often quite naturally pleasing to the eye. Director of many popular blockbusters, David Fincher subtly uses this scheme in all of his films by changing the tint throughout the scenes from yellow to blue. Analogous colours. Analogous colours sit next to each other in the colour wheel. They match well and create either warm or cool environments without the contrast and tension seen within the complementary colours. I've used Wes Anderson's film Moonrise Kingdom as a prime example of this colour scheme. The use of green, brown and yellow don't contrast against each other, making it aesthetically pleasing to look at. Triadic colours. Triadic colours are three colours arranged evenly spaced around the colour wheel. Some films may not have a set colour scheme, meaning all colours will be equal distance on the colour wheel. One should be dominant, the others for accent. They will give a vibrant feel even if the hues are quite unsaturated. Triadic is one of the hardest and least common colour schemes, but can be quite striking when done correctly. So the thing about colour schemes is that the filmmakers will usually pick a dominant colour, and then a secondary colour to support the scene, and normally a third colour to highlight. Selected saturation. This colour scheme is a lot more different in comparison to the others, limited to only one focal object that is in the colour. Everything else is in black and white. This is actually one of the earliest forms of colour on film, back when colour could only be achieved by colouring over the film stock. Schindler's List used it to create heart-wrenching emotional effect. Discordance. When a colour is thrown into a scene which doesn't match the colour scheme, it causes discordance. This can be created by choosing one saturated colour that doesn't fit it. It can be used to intentionally draw the audience's eye towards something. We see colour all the time in film and television, whether it's a classic romance or a thrilling horror. There is no set guideline on how to use colour, but understanding the cognetic effect of it does help.